The best foreign muscle cars are an exciting mix of performance and design from countries around the world and have left their mark on automotive history. Their unique features and distinct designs make them stand out in the muscle car genre, and car enthusiasts continue to appreciate them today. Whether you're a die-hard muscle car fan or simply appreciate classic cars, these foreign muscle cars will surely impress. 1973 Ford Falcon XB 351 GT. This foreign muscle car was made popular by Mad Max and Mad Max 2, Road Warrior starring Mel Gibson. This Australian-made 1973 Ford Falcon XB 351 GT is one mean-looking machine. Powered by a 351 cubic inch V8 Cleveland engine with 260 brake horsepower, they were available with either a 4-speed manual or 3-speed automatic transmission. The styling was downright aggressive outside and down to business inside. It looks even faster standing still than its American counterpart, the Ford Torino. Ford of Australia produced the Ford Falcon XB GT from 1973 to 1976, which were all right-hand drive. 1969 Holden Monaro GTS 350. The 1971 Holden Monaro Grand Tourer Sport 350 is also unique to Australia. While built by Holden, it was powered by a Chevy 351 cubic inch V8 engine with 300 horsepower and 389 pound-feet of torque. They ran 15.7 second-quarter-mile passes and went from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 8.1 seconds. The GTS 350 was available in 3-speed manual, 4-speed manual, and 2-speed Power Glide automatic transmission options. It wasn't lightweight, having a curb weight of 3,050 pounds. The Monaro GTS 350 was Holden's response to Ford's growing stable of muscle car models that became a 2-year-only option in 1969 and 1970. They were all right-hand drive and sold for $3,995 Australian dollars in 1969. Ford Capri Perana. Introduced back in 1968, the Capri was a sporty coupe meant for younger, hipper European buyers. A continental Mustang, if you will. Meanwhile, Basil Green used to work for the Cooper race team in the 60s, and after he retired, he went on to open his own aftermarket shop in Johannesburg. He quickly made a name for himself as the go-to guy for big power Ford builds, stuffing Essex's V6s into Ford Cortinas. The Capri Perana was just on another level compared to those relatively humble creations. Green upgraded the car's 5.0 Windsor V8 engine with a 4-barrel Holley carburetor, solid lifter Boss 302 camshaft, and an aluminum intake manifold. Together, these goodies put out 281 horsepower. Thanks to its low curb weight, this allowed the Perana to get to 60 in just 6.4 seconds. 1971 Chrysler V8 Valiant Charger RT. The 1971 Chrysler Valiant V8 Charger Road Track was smaller than its American Charger counterpart that year, but packed a decent punch for its size. The Charger RT came standard with a 265 cubic inch V8 engine with 3 horsepower options, including 218 brake horsepower, 280 brake horsepower, and 302 brake horsepower. It was only available with either a 3-speed or 4-speed manual transmission. The base price ranged from $3,395 Australian dollars to $3,975 Australian dollars depending on the engine and transmission combination selected. Chrysler of Australia produced the A-body Chrysler Valiant Charger from 1971 to 1979, which were all right-hand drive. Triumph Stag. The Triumph Stag was one of Triumph's last gasps as a sports car maker. On the surface, that's pretty hard to believe. I mean, just look at it. Even for a company with a back catalog as pretty as Triumph, the Stag was a remarkable design. Unfortunately, looks were the only thing it had on its side. Of course, when you realize that Triumph's parent company was British Leyland, maybe getting your hopes up in the first place was a pretty dumb thing to do. Power came from a Triumph-designed 3.0-liter V8 with twin Zenith Stromberg 175 CDSE carburetors. 1971 Dodge Valiant Super Bee. The 1971 Dodge Valiant Super Bee was only available with a 318 cubic inch V8 engine with 270 horsepower and came with either a 3-speed automatic or 4-speed manual transmission option. Its American counterpart was the Plymouth Duster and used a Dodge Demon grille to help visually differentiate it from the Duster. The A-body Dodge Valiant was available from Chrysler of Mexico from 1970 to 1976. 1969 Pontiac Beaumont SD396. At first glance, the 1969 Beaumont SD396 looks like a 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle SS. That's because these foreign muscle cars were built on the same platform but sold at Pontiac Buick dealers under the Beaumont model name throughout Canada. It had minor changes to distinguish it from a Chevelle, including the front grille, front bumper, striping, and badging. A Chevy 396 cubic inches powered the SD 396 in V8 with 350 horsepower. GM of Canada produced the Pontiac Beaumont as a standalone model from 1966 to 1969. 1969 Pontiac Acadian SS 350. While the 1969 Acadian SS 350 was made in America, it was only sold in Canada. It was built on the Nova platform at the Willow Run assembly plant in Detroit. It was then imported into Canada and sold at Pontiac Buick dealers alongside the Beaumont SS 396. While it was sold through Pontiac, it was powered by a Chevy 250 cubic inch Astro Flash V8 with 300 horsepower. The engine was even painted Chevy orange, but had a Pontiac 350 decal on the air cleaner. The Pontiac Acadian was originally produced from 1962 to 1971. Isuzu Piazza Turbo. Alright, I know I'm stretching the definition of a muscle car a little thin here, what with the Piazza Turbo having a turbocharged inline-4 under its reverse-hinged hood, but trust me, this was a muscle car not in body but in spirit. Isuzu isn't the first name that comes to mind when you think of sporty rear-wheel drive two-doors, but the Piazza Turbo aimed to change that. Its sleek body shell was penned by the one and only Giorgetto Giugiaro, which explains why it looks so damn good. Turbo models got a shot of forced induction, with total output being raised to a not-too-shabby 180 horsepower in non-American models. However, its platform, derived from the Chevrolet Chevette, was completely unable to cope, and handling was wayward enough that you'd be stuck going at a crawl to avoid smashing into a tree and bursting into flames. 1971 Ford de Tomaso Pantera. The 1971 de Tomaso Pantera was imported by Ford into the United States from De Tomaso of Italy. While not technically a muscle car, the mid-engine sports car was powered by a 351 cubic inch Cleveland V8 engine with 330 horsepower, very similar to the one found in Torino Cobra. From a performance perspective, these foreign muscle cars ran 13-second quarter-mile passes and went from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.5 seconds. The top speed was 150 miles per hour. Only 1,007 units were produced in 1971. The De Tomaso Pantera was produced from 1971 to 1994. Maserati Biturbo. In order to survive the crushing financial reality of the 1970s gas crisis, Maserati desperately needed a forward-thinking, cheaper product to herald the new decade and bring in some new buyers. The new for 1981 Biturbo was a success in that regard. 40,000 units were sold across its 13-year production run. The muscular, boxy styling was a big change for the Italian carmaker, whose previous offerings always had been defined by their low-slung profiles and sinuous curves. Opel Diplomat V8. Opel is GM's primary European subsidiary, a maker of big executive sedans better suited for European business folk than the nuclear families targeted by Chevrolet and Oldsmobile. The 1969 Diplomat was a sensibly named, sensibly priced, and sensibly designed car with a sensible power output. But if Opel wanted to take the premium fight to the Germans, they'd need more than sensible. That's why Opel wedged a 327 Ci Chevrolet big block with 225 horsepower under the long hood. While that was adequate for the standards of the day, its 3,500-pound curb weight meant that it could never be described as fast. Combined with a sluggish 3-speed automatic transmission, those good old all-American stallions weren't enough to mount a credible challenge to the contemporary Mercedes-Benz 450 SL 6.9, which, despite a near 800-pound weight penalty, exploited the full potential of its 6.9-liter M100 V8 to boogie on down to 60 miles per hour in just over 7 seconds, much faster than the Opel's 8.6-second run. Well, there you have it. 12 of the best foreign muscle cars ever made. Which of these vehicles best interest you? Comment down below and let's discuss. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button to keep you updated on our future uploads. Until then, I'll catch you on the next one.